The story begins with a young girl named Haley, an innocent orphan whose life has already been marked by loss. For the past 5 years, she has lived in the bustling city with her Aunt Debbie. But life, as it so often does, is about to shift in a way neither of them imagined. Debbie receives a new job in Frankfurt City, a job that promises stability for her own future, but leaves Haley without a place. Unable to take the little girl with her, Debbie makes a difficult decision. She must leave Haley in the care of her grandfather, Albert, who lives far away in the high, rugged mountains of Switzerland. But the villagers whisper warnings. Albert, they say, is a bitter, angry man. Debbie calls out to him loudly, trying to sound cheerful. The old man rises at the sound of her voice, his expression darkening as he sees her approach. His voice booms like thunder as he declares, "I want nothing to do with this child. Take her back. Both of you must leave." Haley, trembling, hides behind her aunt. Tears threaten in her wide eyes. Finally, with despair in her heart, she says softly, "If you will not keep her, then I will take her back to the city." She takes Haley's hand and begins to walk away. Quietly, she hides the child behind a corner near the cabin, bending close to whisper, "Wait here." Then, before Haley can even protest, Debbie turns and hurries down the mountain, her figure disappearing into the valley. Albert realizes what has happened too late. Left behind, little Haley stands shivering in the mountain cold. She knocks timidly at the cabin door, but Albert does not answer. At last, with no strength left, she wanders to the nearby cowshed, where 2 of Albert's goats are resting. At dawn, Albert steps outside and finds her curled up in the straw. Without a word, he milks a goat and offers her a bowl of warm, fresh milk. Throughout that day, Albert busies himself with his work, pretending to ignore her, though his eyes occasionally flicker toward her small figure. When night falls, Haley hesitantly asks in a soft voice, "Grandpa, where should I sleep?" His answer is curt, "Wherever you want." Inside the cabin, Haley notices a ladder leading upward. She climbs it and discovers a small attic with a bed of dry grass. Haley lies down and sleeps peacefully for the first time. The following morning, while Albert chops wood, a young boy of about 13 appears, driving a herd of goats up the mountain, a village boy who takes everyone's goats to graze in the high meadows. Albert calls out, asking Peter to take his 2 goats along, and Haley too. She must learn the ways of mountain life, he says. Haley's eyes sparkle with excitement. Haley sets off on her first true adventure. That evening, when they return, Haley's face glows with happiness. At the cabin, she is shy at first, unsure of her grandfather. But something begins to shift. The very next day, Albert works tirelessly with saw and hammer, crafting something in secret. By evening, when Haley comes home, she discovers a brand new wooden chair placed beside his own at the table. Albert pats her head gently and says, "Now you will stay here forever." Days turn into weeks, weeks into months. Haley roams the mountains with Peter, chasing goats. But soon, the seasons change. Snow begins to fall. Peter leaves to attend school in the village, staying with his grandmother through the long winter months. Without him, Haley sometimes feels the ache of loneliness. But happiness, like the seasons, never lasts unchanged. Years pass. Haley grows. She is now 8 years old when, one day, an unexpected figure appears on the mountain path. It is Debbie. Debbie's expression was serious, almost heavy with purpose, as she revealed the truth. Albert's voice cut through the air, stern and unwavering. "No, Haley will not go anywhere," finally ordered Debbie to leave immediately. Quietly, she circled the mountain, climbing a secret path to where Haley played among the goats. "Haley, your grandfather wants you to go to the city. There, you'll have a big school, new friends, comfort, and a better life." Haley's small hands trembled. I don't want to leave him," she whispered. With a heavy heart, she finally agreed, not fully understanding if she was doing the right thing. Tears glimmered in her eyes as Debbie took her hand and led her down the mountain. From behind a rock, Peter watched helplessly. By evening, the herd returned, and Peter informed Albert in a panting voice, "She has taken Haley with her." Albert froze. Stunned, the old man ran down the mountain trails toward the valley. He reached the village station, panting, desperate. But it was too late. Debbie had already left, Haley by her side. Albert remained on the road, eyes moist with grief, sinking back into the shadow of loneliness he had once begun to escape. The next morning, Debbie and Haley arrived in Frankfurt, Germany's sprawling metropolis. Haley was awestruck. Towering buildings, bustling streets, and throngs of people pressed in on every side. She had never seen anything like it. The city seemed endless. Soon they reached a grand mansion, Henry's house, where Haley was to stay. From the staircase came a sharp voice. "Who is this?" It was Rebecca, the governess. Her eyes swept over Haley, narrowing in disapproval. "Is this the girl?" she demanded. Debbie bowed her head, hands folded. "Yes, madam. This is Haley. You said you needed a girl raised in a hilly environment. She is intelligent and will be a good companion for Klara," Rebecca muttered, frowning. "We'll see." Then, with warmth and kindness, she invited Haley to her room. From the very first day, the girls bonded. Haley, in her excitement and inexperience, sometimes made mistakes, like pushing Klara's wheelchair too hard, causing it to collide with a table. Each time, Klara calmly took responsibility for Haley. The maids bathed Haley, dressed her in clean clothes. But the greatest challenge was school. Every day she studied with Klara and a private teacher. Soon, it became evident that Haley's education was lacking. Rebecca's patience snapped. "She doesn't know anything. An ignorant girl like this cannot remain in this house." She threatened to send Haley away immediately, though Henry's return prevented her from acting. Klara intervened, pleading, "We will teach Haley gradually." Haley watches with wide, frightened eyes, shame washing over her like a heavy tide. Slowly, painfully, she begins to adjust to the strict rules of this unfamiliar house. But no matter how hard she tries, her heart refuses to let go of the mountains. In the daylight, whenever she can, Haley gazes longingly out of the window, straining to catch a glimpse of the distant mountains. Then, one day, a prankish idea comes to her. She turns to Klara and whispers, "Let's go out for a walk today." Klara hesitates, nervous. She knows they are not allowed to go outside on their own, but Haley's innocent persuasion wears her down, and at last, outside, the fresh air kisses their faces. For a while, they are free. But when they return after hours of adventure, worried servants rush to them and usher them back home. Rebecca's fury explodes like a storm. As punishment, Haley is deprived of dinner. She is forced to stand facing the wall the entire evening. Rebecca's voice cuts sharp and merciless. If Haley dares again, she will be thrown straight into the basement. That night, humiliation burns in Haley's chest. When the house finally sinks into sleep, she quietly gathers courage. She will run away. She slips leftover bread rolls into her coat pocket, but suddenly, a voice pierces the silence. "Where are you going, Haley?" The bread rolls scatter across the floor like her broken hope. Rebecca's voice drips with fury. "You were trying to run away, after all the comfort you've been given here, and still you show no gratitude." Tears flood Haley's eyes. Upstairs, Klara has seen it all. Haley realizes in that agonizing moment, if she leaves, Klara's heart will crumble. From the next morning, Klara locks herself away, refusing to speak. Days pass. Then, at last, a fragile bridge begins to rebuild. One day, Haley gathers courage. With trembling hands, she holds Klara's and whispers through tears, "I will never leave you. You are my dearest friend." Weeks later, the house is stirred by returning footsteps. Henry comes back from his foreign journey, and with him, his mother, Margaret. The halls, once heavy with silence. Klara runs into her father's arms, hugging him tightly. Henry's heart swells as he sees his daughter glowing with joy. Then his gaze falls upon the shy figure standing nearby, Haley. "Papa, this is my friend Haley." A gentle smile warms Henry's face. He strokes Haley's head tenderly, welcoming her with kindness. Margaret steps forward too, her arms opening. She gathers Haley into her lap, and in that embrace, Haley feels the lost tenderness of a grandmother's love. Margaret's firm voice rises, cutting through the room. "First, I'll see to this girl myself." That evening, Margaret sits Haley down with a storybook. Her voice flows smoothly, enchanting the little girl. Then, suddenly she stops. "Now you read further." Haley falters, her voice trembling. "Grandma, I can't read properly." Margaret's eyes soften. She caresses Haley's cheek and says gently, "It's all right. Just try. You love stories, don't you?" If you learn to read, you'll discover so many more on your own." The words pierce Haley's heart with warmth. A spark of determination ignites within her. From that moment, she vows to learn. Margaret patiently helps her, guiding her to recognize words. Hope flickers anew in Haley's eyes. Each day, Haley practices. And yet, as she grows stronger, strange things begin to trouble the house. At night, whispers of footsteps echo on the stairs. Doors creak open and close on their own. One midnight, the truth reveals itself. Henry discovers Haley, walking in her sleep. Her eyes vacant, she wanders to the main door, opens it, and stands outside, staring into the darkness, toward the mountains. The next day, a doctor is called. His diagnosis is grave. Haley's illness is born from longing, the ache of a heart torn from home. The only cure is to return her to the mountains. Henry accepts the decision with a heavy heart. When Klara hears of it, her cries shake the house. She pleads with her father, sobbing, "I don't want to let Haley go," but the decision cannot be undone. Haley too feels sorrow pierce her heart. She does not want to leave her dearest friend. Yet, deep within, joy quietly stirs. She is going home. The day before her departure, Klara's despair overwhelms her. Before leaving, Haley gently pulled out a little wooden bird from her belongings, the one Albert had lovingly carved for her. She placed it in Henry's hand. "Please give this to Klara," Haley pleaded softly. "Tell her I'll miss her very much. Promise me you will bring her to me in the mountains." Henry, his voice trembling with emotion, nodded. "I promise, child." The train whistle pierced the air. Haley climbed aboard, leaning out of the window. After a long journey, Haley's heart leapt as the train pulled into her beloved mountain station. The moment her feet touched the ground, she tore off her shoes and ran barefoot into the soft green grass. Freedom and home embraced her at once. Her first stop was Peter's cottage. When Peter and his mother saw her, the roof of her house on the hill, glowing in the golden sunset. In the courtyard, Albert stood still, his eyes fixed on the distant path, as if waiting for a miracle. Suddenly he saw her, Haley, running breathlessly toward him. His eyes widened in disbelief. "Grandpa!" she cried, throwing herself against his chest. "I'm back." The walls around Albert's heart crumbled. From that day on, Haley's world sparkled with joy again. She roamed freely through the mountains and cherished every moment with her grandfather. Yet she never forgot Klara. With a careful hand, she wrote letters regularly. Letters filled with mountain stories, inviting her dearest friend to visit soon. And at last, that day came. One bright summer morning, Klara arrived in Haley's village, accompanied by her grandmother Margaret and the servants. Margaret gently urged Albert to allow Klara to stay for a while. Albert, his heart softened by Haley's happiness, agreed warmly and welcomed their guests. Klara's days in the mountains became a dream she had never dared to imagine. She felt the warmth of the first sun rays on her face. For the first time, she experienced a joy deeper than anything she had ever known in the city's closed walls. But not everyone was happy. Peter, once Haley's closest companion, felt jealousy stir within him. He noticed Haley spending more and more time with Klara. In a sudden act of mischief, he shoved Klara's wheelchair down the hill. It crashed against the rocks, shattering into pieces. Albert immediately realized who was responsible. His voice thundered with anger as he scolded Peter, who bowed his head in shame, tears of guilt burning in his eyes. Together with Haley, they showed her the sweeping beauty of the valleys below. And then, something miraculous happened. A delicate butterfly fluttered past and landed gently on Klara's foot. As she reached out to catch it, her body instinctively shifted. She rose, for the first time, to stand on her own 2 feet. Haley gasped. Soon Margaret and Henry arrived to take Klara back. At first, Henry's face was stern, worried that his fragile daughter had been taken to the rough mountains. But when Klara stepped out to greet him, walking on her own, his shock melted into overwhelming joy. He rushed forward, pulling her into his arms, tears streaming down his face. He turned to Haley, gratitude shining in his eyes. "Thank you," he whispered. "You've given me back my daughter." As the visit came to an end, Margaret gifted Haley a precious present, a beautiful notebook and pen. "You love to write, don't you?" Margaret said warmly. "This is your diary." When it was time to part, Klara hugged Haley tightly. "See you soon," waving farewell. And so, her emotional journey found its perfect ending. Haley had found her true home again, her true family, and the friendship that would last a lifetime. She lived freely among the mountains she loved, her heart forever full of happiness. And with that, this heartfelt and beautiful story comes to its end.